Might purchase in 3 or 6 months, bro. Yeah, so we can get rid of that, bro, G, whatever. It's kind of overkilling it, but you can see here it was accurate in its response. All right, so we can continue to test this battle with the prompting. Here's the prompt score. You can see. All right, it just takes a sec. Overall score, it tells you best practices. It gives you a rating for each of these different values, I guess. Best practices: clarity, creativity, specificity, relevance. Now, I don't want you to get too hung up on this prompt score because, like, say I remove a period here, it's gonna recalculate this prompt score. Just takes a second. All right, it stayed the same, but a lot of the times it'll change one little thing, and then this prompt score might be like a point less, it might be a point more. So this is just a general approach. If it's lower than like 6 or 7, like I try to keep it above 7. If it's lower than that, then generally you want to improve these fields that it says here. All right, so now that you have your kind of base agent down, what you want to do is publish this. You can see it says publish your agent. Any changes made will immediately go live, and update your agent anywhere it has been deployed. Are you sure you want to continue? This means that say you've integrated this with Voiceflow, you've integrated it with, a bunch of different platforms. If you make changes here, it's going to change. It's going to change all those different platforms. So generally, if you're making tests to an agent that you've created, what you want to do is when you're editing it, you want to make a copy. So you can come to these 3 dots and hit duplicate agent, and then you can mess around with it there before you actually push a live version. So let's go ahead and publish this. And now if we want to deploy it, deploying is how we get it into Voiceflow. Let's go ahead and click this, go to website, and what you want to do is click this URL. It says Voiceflow template. Once you click this, it's going to download the .vf file, which is the Voiceflow template. We show you how to do this in the lessons, but I have my Voiceflow loaded up here. And then what you would do is import the Voiceflow file, and then you just want to hit the designer. I already have it imported here. It's called agentive testing. So let's go ahead. Hop into the designer, and you can see we automatically have our. So how this works is it does a post request. Oh, it's refreshing really quick. But how it works is it does a post request to Agentive to basically like start a thread, start a conversation with your agent. And just in case you're curious, right? You could put this up on a website and there could be 100 different people talking to it at once or more or less. And that's because of threads, right? So this post request is going to start a thread, basically one conversation with the agent from one person. And it'll start a bunch of them anytime someone new loads this up. So there's a couple things that we need to change. If you click on this post request block, you can see that we need to put our API key in. So if I go back to Agentive and hit this website tab like we were just in, you can see our API key here. Then if I go back into Voiceflow, delete this, just paste it right in here, pretty easy. And now we need to change something in the second request, second API request. And again, we need to paste our API key, but we also need to get our assistant ID. So back in Agentive, we can find our assistant ID right here. Copy that, go back into Agentive, and then paste it. Now this is all set up to go. Before we run this in Voiceflow, let me just make some changes here. I'm going to write, hey G, you can ask me questions about Jordan Belfort's sales persuasion tactics. Cool. All right, now let's go ahead and test this out. I'm going to hit run. Let's hit share prototype, open link in a new tab. Just let this load. Now we can start a conversation. All right, let's see if it gives us our responses. Taking a quick second. Usually it's a bit quicker. Internet's a little slow right now. So he says, Wagwan G, what can I help you with today? Got any sales question or need some tips? Sure. I heard about the X Factor. What is it? Geez, tag me with questions, by the way. The X factor in the straight line persuasion system involves aligning key forces necessary for success in any sales environment, focusing on both the inner game of sales and specific strategies and techniques to maximize leads and close sales. All right, let's say summarize the entire method in 2 sentences. How should I approach selling lemonade? Someone say Wagwan G, what you saying, cuz? When selling lemonade, the straight line persuasion method advises building quick rapport, gathering intelligence, and guiding customers smoothly through the sales line while maintaining control and addressing blah blah blah. So yeah, this is basically to show you how you can jailbreak your own custom GPT into Voiceflow and then integrate that into someone's site. I do highly recommend you take this route instead of just using one of the demo builds because it's much more flexible. It's a much better conversation to have, right? Like if I were to type something like um I don't like you, right? It's just something like that because people are just going to like mess around with your agent. It says, "Hey man, let's keep it cool and focus on those sales tips because I told it in agentive in the system prompt to if anyone gets off topic, redirect off topic inquiries back to sales topic with a friendly reminder to stay focused." And because we did that in our voice flow, it tells us exactly what we just prompted. And it tells us in a different way. Usually you'd have to handle those edge cases with like an intent and it would be very rigid. It's just a much more free flowing conversation. Once you start hooking up, tools to this, you're greatly expanding its capabilities. Like you could even go ahead and you could add your own like for instance in an example I've built out, right? You don't only have to just keep it this. It's not only your AI agent. You could go ahead, you can add intents, you can add different if logic, if hey, maybe someone's talking about something that's not in your programmed in your AI agent. Okay, you can go ahead and add that. For instance, I usually have this custom code block that I do that I add after this request that basically takes any text that the agent has prompted out to add that new line character because you can't do that natively in VoiceFlow to add that enter to make everything much more readable. Like so, like a big paragraph. It's a bad example. So it would type basically like this: "Hey, blah blah blah, go ahead." So it would add this space whenever it outputs something. You can't tell in Voiceful. You can't tell the AI to just do that. It won't do it. So you have to do a little bit of code formatting. So you can do whatever you want. Like you can have this be the main conversation driver. You can even start this and like do your normal talk text block. Add some buttons, whatever you want to do, and then you can have it so like out of 10. You can have it so like say you have yes and no as a button, or say you have a not found path, like something that's not answered with your normal voiceful logic. If you've been through the lessons, you'll know what I mean. You can redirect it to your AI agent to handle any of those cases that wasn't really already programmed into the logic into your main voice flow build. All right, let me just check the chats really quick, see what we're looking like for questions. What can I use this agent you're using actually for? This is just an example agent. Like you should use what I just taught you in this workshop to make like a customer support agent or a appointment booking agent, something that's much more conversational. For instance, if you're making an appointment booking agent, you could be like, you could program the AI to ask questions, let me collect your name, let me do all that stuff, but in a much more conversational way, connected to custom tools like Calendly. Same thing with customer support. Like this is 100 times better than the customer support that you're just putting on like that you're just going to build from a demo, right? So the idea with the demos is you want to build it, get your foot in the door with a client, and then you can upsell more complex builds like this, which you can charge more, and etc. All right, let's see. Please, can you show? Please, can you show us to do the API? Because give me error, thanks. I think he's talking about 422 error. Yeah. All right. I'm only answering questions about this specific build, guys. So if you have questions about that, can I make my own knowledge file as a PDF and also upload 3 to 5 different PDFs at once in a knowledge base for the custom GPT? Yeah, you can upload a bunch of. There is a limit. You can upload a bunch of them though. You can do PDFs, text files, whatever you want. Let's see. Looking for tags. Can I add 2 or more custom GPTs in one voice flow? Yeah, you can. What you would do is you would just duplicate this. Command C, come down here. Command V. Now you have this. You could add, like, for instance, say after the start, you could add some buttons. You know, if it says one thing, go here. If it says another thing, go here. And you would just go ahead and here and change the API key to a different agent because the API key we grabbed is for this specific agent. So you would just create a second agent and then, lead the conversation here. Like, say this agent over here. Let me just add some buttons really quick. Button, add button. Say the first agent is like, hey, talk to me about sales. I want to talk about sales. Talk about sales. And then the second one is I want to talk about, I don't know, emails. All right. So you could have one button go here, and then this is your sales agent, and then one button go here. Let me just one button to go here, and then this is your emails agent. So this would be whatever agent you create in Agentive that's specifically created for your emails. And that, again, that's a great use case. That's a great question because it's greatly expanding your capabilities than what you can normally do. I'm sure, me just having conversation with this thing, being able to say like yo or wagwan, whatever it is, it doesn't like struggle with those type of answers, which usually it would if you're just doing a normal programmed voice flow bot without a bunch of blocks. We can get Virtually, you can get to that level of conversation, but it takes a bunch of crazy blocks and logic and handling edge cases and stuff like that. Versus with the GPT, you just have a couple of these requests and it's much more conversational. Do we need to understand the get or post things? No, you don't have to. This template is all set up. All you have to do is put those API keys in, and it's just going to send the messages to this agentive bot and then send them back to Voiceflow. See. Yeah, Agentive is free. Lessons will be coming out. I mean, I just introduced you in this workshop, but I'll be doing no code automation, which is more broken down step by step in the lessons, and I'll introduce Agentive for sure. How to fix agent given broken link. So yeah, you're gonna have to be more specific than that. How far are we from a real human experience with GPT-4? I mean, it depends on your prompting. Obviously, it's not going to replace a real human, but you can get like I've gotten pretty accurate with human-like conversations and interactions. I mean, it usually is better off if you have an agent that's pretty good conversationally. Like it's not like too robotic and stuff like that. But people still know it's an AI. Like you don't want to lie and be like, "Yo, this is an AI." It's always good to have this thing, and then if people want to talk to a real person, they can do so. It's better to put it in every relevant information to make assistant as broad as possible. So, good question. There's ways to optimize your knowledge base, which I'm going to drop workshops on in the future, but there's a point where you can put too much information in to where it's too broad, so it gets a little bit less accurate. But it can handle a good amount of information and still be accurate. If you're putting in like documents that have thousands and thousands of characters, a shit ton of, it's going to get a little bit less accurate because if you think of it, right, if you have one paper and you're looking at it, you look at that one paper for information. If you have 1,000 papers, it's going to be a bit less accurate. So general question, not answering. Are there costs involved to set up like this GPT-4o? Yes, there are costs. So you have to hook up your OpenAI API key. Then through the email outreach lessons, then you'll know what I mean. You just set up an OpenAI account. I mean, these tokens are extremely cheap. Like what I did probably cost me like less than 1 cent. 100% it cost me less than 1 cent to just run that conversation. So less than half a cent probably. It's super cheap. You just set up your OpenAI API key and then you can do all of this stuff. You just set that up in Agentive. Can I connect that agent to another demo? Like I created a voice flow for dietitians where it collects leads and can book a call. Is it a good idea to also add that to voice flow, another button which would support this? Yep. Yeah. So you can take that other build that you did and then add this, to be more conversational, or just program that logic in that you use for the other ones into this GPT. Just you can mix and match them. Just put a little brain power and you get a much higher quality